When you live alone, you naturally break free from what neuroscientists call social dependency patterns. Most people operate in a constant state of unconscious social referencing, always checking, always comparing, always seeking validation. But women who live alone develop something remarkable, an internal reference point that's completely independent of external validation. Your brain actually changes its reward patterns. Instead of getting dopamine hits from social approval, you start generating those feel-good chemicals through self-reservation and independent achievement. This creates what I call a magnetic paradox, that the less you need others' energy, the more they're drawn to yours. Let me tell you about something fascinating we observed in our research. Women who lived alone for more than 2 years showed significantly different brainwave patterns during social interactions. Their brains weren't seeking completion or validation from others. They were operating from a place of wholeness. This wholeness creates a unique energy signature. Think about it. When you're not unconsciously leaking energy through dependency patterns, when you're not constantly seeking something from others, your energy field becomes more concentrated, more powerful. It's like having a fully charged battery versus one that's constantly being drained. I've seen this transformation countless times. Women who master independent living develop what psychologists call secure autonomy. They can engage deeply with others while maintaining their energetic sovereignty. This combination becomes irresistibly attractive to others. But here's what's really fascinating. This magnetic quality isn't about trying to attract others. It's actually about becoming so complete within yourself that your mere presence becomes an invitation for others to experience that same level of wholeness. You're not drawing people to you through need, you're attracting them through resonance. When you live alone, you naturally break free from what I call energetic entanglement patterns. These are the unconscious ways we become enmeshed with others' energy fields. By living alone, you develop what quantum physicists might call a coherent energy signature, pure, undiluted, powerful. Think about what happens in most social situations. People are constantly exchanging energy, often in unconscious, needy ways. But when you've mastered solitude, you enter social situations as an energy generator rather than an energy seeker. This fundamentally changes the dynamic of every interaction. So the research shows that women who live alone develop stronger boundaries, clearer communication, and more authentic relationships. They're not participating in connections out of habit or need. They're choosing connections that truly align with their evolved frequency. When you live alone, something extraordinary happens to your capacity for personal growth. Your brain's neural pathways literally accelerate their development because you're constantly engaging in what neuroscientists call independent problem-solving loops. Think about what happens in your daily life when you live alone. Every challenge, every decision, every moment of creativity comes from you. There's no unconscious delegation, no automatic sharing of responsibilities. This creates what I call accelerated adaptation syndrome. Your brain becomes a high-speed learning machine. Let me share something remarkable from our research. Women who live alone show a 40% increase in what we call cognitive flexibility, the ability to adapt to new situations and solve problems creatively. Why? Because their brains are constantly being challenged to find solutions independently. Your decision-making muscles grow stronger every single day. When there's no one else to consult for daily choices, your prefrontal cortex, the executive center of your brain, becomes more developed, more efficient. It's like having a personal trainer for your decision-making abilities. I remember working with a scientist who studied the brain patterns of women living alone versus those living with others. The data showed something fascinating. Women living alone developed stronger neural connections in areas associated with executive function, creativity, and problem solving. They weren't just living independently, they were evolving their cognitive capabilities at an accelerated rate. But here's what's really remarkable about this growth acceleration. It compounds over time. Each solved problem, each independent decision, each creative solution builds upon the last. Your brain creates what neuroscientists call success templates, neural patterns that make future problem solving even more efficient. This isn't just about practical skills. You're developing what psychologists call cognitive resilience, the ability to face new challenges with confidence and creativity. When you live alone, your brain knows that it can handle whatever comes its way because it's done it successfully so many times before. Think about what this means for your personal evolution. You're not just growing, you're growing at an exponential rate. Every day presents new opportunities for neural development, new chances to strengthen your independent capabilities, new ways to expand your problem-solving repertoire. Let's talk about something fundamental that happens in your brain when you live alone. You develop what neuroscientists call internal validation circuits. These neural pathways become stronger every time you trust your own judgment, every time you make a decision without seeking external approval. Your brain has a remarkable ability to strengthen these self-trust pathways. When you live alone, you're constantly reinforcing what I call the trust response in your nervous system. Instead of looking outside for confirmation, your brain learns to recognize and trust its own signals. In our advanced workshops, we've seen something fascinating on brain scans. Women who live alone show increased activity in the anterior cingulate cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-assessment and certainty. Their brains aren't just making decisions, they're building a deep neurological foundation of self-trust. Think about what happens when you face uncertainty. Most people immediately seek external validation, but when you live alone, you develop what psychologists call internal certainty markers. Your nervous system becomes more attuned to your own inner knowing, your own wisdom. The research shows something remarkable. Women who live alone demonstrate higher levels of what we call intuitive accuracy. Their brains become better at recognizing and trusting their gut feelings because they're constantly practicing this skill in their daily lives. But here's what's really fascinating about this process. As your self-trust grows stronger, your need for approval actually creates new neural pathways. Instead of seeking validation from others, your brain starts seeking validation from your own experience, your own wisdom, your own knowing. And every time you trust yourself and succeed, your brain releases a cocktail of neurotransmitters that strengthen these self-trust circuits. It's like building a muscle. Each repetition makes it stronger, more reliable, more automatic. You're not just living alone. You're rewiring your brain for independence. I remember working with a woman who'd lived alone for 5 years. When we measured her brain activity during decision-making tasks, we saw something remarkable. Her neural patterns showed what we call high coherence in regions associated with confidence and self-trust. She wasn't just making decisions, she was operating from a place of deep neurological certainty. Something magical happens to your creative potential when you live alone. Your brain enters what neuroscientists call theta state more easily. That's the brainwave frequency where innovation and creativity naturally flow. Without the constant processing of others' energies, your creative force amplifies. Most people don't realize that creativity isn't just about art or music. It's about how you solve problems, how you view the world, how you manifest your desires. When you live alone, your creative energy isn't being unconsciously absorbed or diluted by others' presence. It becomes concentrated, powerful, focused. I've seen this in our research time and time again. Women who live alone show increased activity in their brain's default mode network. That's the neural system responsible for imagination, innovation, and creative problem solving. Their minds become natural generators of new ideas, new possibilities. Think about what happens when you're alone in your space. There's no one else's energy interrupting your creative flow, no one else's thoughts or needs competing for your attention. Your brain naturally enters what we call flow state more frequently. This isn't just about having more time to create, it's about having more energetic space for creativity to emerge. The quantum field responds differently to someone whose creative energy is this focused. You become what I call a creation magnet, naturally attracting opportunities and circumstances that align with your creative frequency. Your manifestations become more powerful because your creative energy isn't being scattered or divided. When you live alone, your creative force isn't just about making art or writing or designing. It's about creating your life exactly as you want it. Every decision, every choice, every action becomes an act of creation. You're not just living, you're actively creating your reality with focused intention. I've seen women transform their entire lives through this amplified creative force. They don't just dream bigger, they manifest those dreams with remarkable speed and clarity because their creative energy is completely aligned, completely focused, completely their own. Right now, in this moment, there's a shift happening in human consciousness. Women living alone aren't just changing their own lives, they're creating ripples that affect the entire field of human potential. Each woman who masters this way of being becomes a beacon showing others what's possible. Think about the impact you're having just by living authentically, by choosing yourself, by mastering your own energy. You're not just changing your life, you're contributing to a global shift in consciousness. Your energy signature becomes part of what scientists call the morphic field, influencing the collective consciousness in ways we're only beginning to understand. Okay? And the research is clear. When even a small percentage of people operate at higher levels of consciousness, it affects the entire field. Women who master independent living aren't just evolving themselves, they're helping to evolve human consciousness itself. Every time you choose yourself, every time you trust your own wisdom, every time you operate from a place of complete independence, you're sending a signal into the quantum field that ripples out and affects others. You're showing others what's possible when you fully own your power. This isn't just about living alone. It's about living in alignment with your highest potential. It's about becoming so magnetically powerful that you naturally inspire others to step into their own power. Your very existence becomes an invitation for others to evolve. The time for playing small is over. The world needs women who are fully embodied in their power, who understand their own magnetic force, who aren't afraid to live life on their own terms. You're not just creating your own reality, you are helping to create a new paradigm for human consciousness. You're already feeling this resonance within you. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening. Your cells are already vibrating with this potential. The question isn't whether you're capable of this transformation. The question is, are you ready to step fully into your power and become the beacon you're meant to be? Take this moment right now to feel the truth of who you are. Feel the power that comes from choosing yourself. Feel the magnetic force you're capable of generating. The world is ready for your light. The time is now. The power is yours. Let's begin.